Do you know your numbers? Dun dun dun!
I want to go over your cholesterol levels. Do you know your numbers? Now, there is an optimal level of total cholesterol levels, and there's an optimum level of HDL, LDL, triglycerides. Are you even familiar with those? And do you know what they mean? So let's get started. Number one, what is cholesterol? All right, simple question. What is cholesterol? Cholesterol is a waxy substance found in your blood. Your body needs it to build healthy cells, but having high levels can increase your chances of heart disease. So you really want to stay on top of those numbers. Now, what are the different types of cholesterol? We have your LDL. That's a D. That's the lipoprotein. Low density lipoprotein. Okay, we call this the lousy cholesterol. That's the lousy cholesterol. That's the bad guy. Okay. Ideally, the LDL should be under. We should keep that below 100 milligrams per deciliter. The lousy cholesterol or the bad cholesterol. We use lousy because of the L. You remember L for lousy? Just know that that's the bad cholesterol. You don't want that to be high. That should not be over 100, okay? You really want to focus on keeping that down, because if you have high levels of the LDL in your blood, that can build up in your arteries, and that can cause clogging of your arteries, where the plaque builds up in there, and will progress to heart disease. God forbid you have a heart attack, and then you have to have, go to, I don't know if you've heard of a cardiac catheterization. You go to the cath lab, and then they have to put in a little something to clean out your arteries. You don't want that. That's a lot of headache to have to go through just by having an elevated LDL. Now, full disclosure, I happen to have an LDL that's over 100. And I'm working on bringing that down. Now, sometimes genetically, and people are genetically predisposed to having high cholesterol, because it's like I eat, I exercise, I do all that I'm supposed to do, but my numbers still creep up over 100. Now, is it really high? No. I think my last levels were like 129, something like that, 129. But my doctor still want me to bring it down, because if I'm not careful, it will creep back up like it did before when, my diet wasn't that healthy.
I want to note that there are different levels of the LDL. The optimum level is less than 100 milligrams per deciliter. But as you can see, it comes in different ranges, from near optimal from 100 to 129 to very high to 190 milligrams per deciliter or higher. You definitely want to aim to keep that LDL under 100.
So we want to keep an eye on the LDL, which is the low density lipoprotein. Lipoprotein, tomato. Really depends on how you want to say it. So definitely keep an eye on that and keep that below 100. Now you have the trusted HDL. That's the happy cholesterol. You want to keep the happy cholesterol happy. Now, the H doesn't really stand for happy. That's just the way, to be honest with you, full disclosure, in nursing school, we learn all kinds of little tips and tricks on how to memorize, what stands for, and how to memorize what the LDL is, the HDL. So this was my way of remembering it. There's all kinds of acronyms out there. But the one that I remember was lousy, and then for the HDL was happy. So that's how I remember what the good and bad is. Lousy is bad, of course. Happy is good. Okay, so this is the good cholesterol. This is the good. And this is the bad. You want to have all the good cholesterol in your blood, because this guy helps remove all the other cholesterol from your bloodstream. All the lousy stuff. This lousy guy here, the happy guy, helps remove that from your bloodstream. Now, the technical term for this is the high density lipoprotein. Like I said, higher levels of the HDL cholesterol helps flush out the bad cholesterol. So you want to keep this level high. You want this number to be above 60 milligrams per deciliter. Okay? You want that to be high, because the higher that is, the better it is at flushing out all of the lousy stuff out of your blood. That's a good way for you to remember it. You got to keep this number above 60 because it works better to flush all of the bad cholesterol and stuff out of your blood. And if you're a man, for men, they say it should not be below 40 milligrams per deciliter. And for women, it shouldn't be below 50. So you definitely want to have it higher, much higher than 60 is even better, like 70. So, and you get the HDL. I'll give some little information in the description, some diet tips and information on that. Simple things like taking an omega-3 fatty acid, or eating foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids like salmon, if you like salmon fish. But there's so many other things out there. Now, the next thing you should know about is your triglyceride level. The triglycerides, that's another fat substance that's floating around in your blood. So you definitely want to keep your triglycerides levels low because higher numbers also can give you a risk for heart disease. So what's a normal level of triglycerides? Triglycerides should be less than 150 milligrams per deciliter, okay? Aim to have your numbers below that because, like I said, an increased level of that will lead to heart disease. Now, the final number you should be aware of is the total cholesterol. And sorry for the messy writing, but the total cholesterol, that's a big one. You definitely want to aim to keep that one under 200 milligrams per deciliter. And why is that? Because keep it under 200 milligrams per deciliter because that is a calculation or the total amount of all the cholesterol in your blood, all of it. Like, the higher this number is, of course, the higher that number will be. And, the same with the triglycerides, all that stuff. Even with the HDL, even with the high HDL, it will increase it. But we're not so concerned about the high, the HDL cholesterol, because that's the happy cholesterol. But remember, the happy cholesterol is the good cholesterol. We want to keep those numbers above 60 milligrams per deciliter. So that's the only number in this list that you want to keep up. We'll put it over here. HDL. That's the happy cholesterol. We want to keep that above 60 milligrams per deciliter. Therefore, so if you look at this chart, the only arrow that's going up is the HDL. That's the only one you want to increase and keep at an optimal level. The HDL cholesterol, the happy cholesterol. The lousy cholesterol, no. We want to keep that below 100 milligrams per deciliter. The triglycerides, we want to keep below 150 milligrams per deciliter. And your total cholesterol, we want to keep it below 200 milligrams per deciliter because that's the total cholesterol that's circulating in your blood. That's wreaking havoc on your arteries and clogging them up and blocking them. And God forbid, you don't want what can come from that. Heart disease, which can lead to a stroke, brain fog, all kinds of stuff. It does horrible things. So we definitely want to keep an eye on that. And I keep an eye on mine because my total cholesterol had crept above 200. I think it was, 210? I think it was 210 last year. I did my physical in December and it was 210. My doctor said he wasn't as concerned, but he wants me to keep an eye on it so then I have a follow-up appointment. I think there's another one coming up in another month or so. He wanted me to follow up in 3 months. So the reason why is because my HDL was like 75, I think it was. It was like high, like 75, in the high 70s. So he said because of that reason, that's why it crept up. But also my LDL was at 120 something. You know, I was in the 120s. So he definitely want to keep an eye on that because he's like, okay, we're creeping up. We got to bring it down. Now, actually, the 120 is down because my cholesterol was actually at 140 something. I would say it was about 140 about last spring. I think it was about April. Yeah, it was around April when I got that last blood work. And it's actually down. And I attribute that to a lot of the healthy supplements that I'm using now in my diet, which you guys see on my channel. I'm always talking about the ASEA. It definitely has been helpful in so many things in my health. I mean, not just the cholesterol, but I've talked to you about my breathing issues with, you know, it's just done some amazing things. So I shared more of that on my page as well in some of my videos. But this is the main thing. And if you're doing everything right and you still have high numbers, like I said, some of us are just genetically predisposed to high cholesterol. So guess what? That means we have to try just as hard to keep those numbers down. We have to exercise more, or at least better, you know, do a little bit more cardio. You know, I've been doing a lot of Pilates and yogas for the past, several years in my home. Now I go to a club, a Pilates club, where, you know, I actually do exercise there, but I incorporate more cardio because I notice if I put in more cardio, do more speed walking, intermittent walking and jogging, that also helps. It helps increase the HDL and it helps lower the total cholesterol and the lousy cholesterol. So those are just some of the things, along with my healthy diet that I have been. Although my diet has always been pretty healthy. You know, I always eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. I don't do a lot of meat, definitely not red meat. Red meat I probably have maybe a couple of times a year. It's mainly chicken, turkey, fish, seafood. So yeah, I don't do a lot of the red meat. It's good when it's cooked right, but because I want to age well and I want to, do healthier things for my body, and I know a lot of it attributes to the high cholesterol. Just like the dairy. I've had to get dairy out of my diet. I had to get rid of ice cream. Now, don't get me wrong. I still love my ice cream, but I get the ice cream that's made out of almond milk or cashew milk. I can't do the cow's milk anymore. It's the animal product that just really wreaks havoc on my cholesterol. I mean, I stopped cow's milk a long time ago because it was giving me health issues. It was flaring up my asthma. It was doing all kinds of stuff. So I literally had to get that out of my diet. So you need to look into some of those things that might be exacerbating your levels, and keep an eye on these numbers. Now, why should you care about your cholesterol numbers? Why should you know your numbers? Because cholesterol in itself, bad cholesterol, high cholesterol, all of it we can have, with the exception of the HDL, can lead to heart disease. You do not want heart disease, especially if you're young. I've noticed there's a lot more young adults coming into the ER lately with heart disease or with high cholesterol or with, well, not necessarily high cholesterol because we don't check cholesterol in the ER, but they tell me that they have a history of high cholesterol, and you look in their chart and you see the medical history. And then you see they have high blood pressure, they have all kinds of stuff. So it's like double whammy, triple whammy. It all feeds off of everything, High cholesterol, it will eventually give you other issues. So understanding your cholesterol levels can give you insight into your heart health. If your numbers are off, it's a sign that you need to have some lifestyle changes and do it quickly, especially if your numbers are way out of whack. Dietary changes, exercising. If you have weight to lose, even 5 to 10 pounds can make a difference in your cholesterol levels. And increasing your activity. There's simple ways of doing that. And I included some information down in my description below this video that can give you some ideas. You want to focus on a heart-healthy diet. Increase your grains, your nuts, your fruits, vegetables. Stay away from the high-sugar diet, which a lot of us have sweet tooths, and I am guilty. Guilty as charged. I love me some sugar. But we have to do it in moderation, because excessive amounts can also wreak havoc on your blood glucose level, and we don't want that, especially if you're diabetic. If you're not diabetic, like myself, even though I'm not diabetic, I still want to stay healthy and I still want to keep my glucose levels within the healthy range, because you don't want to start messing with those numbers. Even if you start seeing it creep up a little bit, jump on board right away and get it together and bring it down. Okay, don't fool around with it. You want to limit the saturated fats. You know, there are good fats out there, the monounsaturated fats, but you want to stay away from the trans fats. Some of those trans fats and saturated fats are found in animal products. So this is why I don't eat as much animal products. And if it is, it's usually the lean meat, like the turkey or the chicken or the fish. And if you've done all of that, the diet, the exercise, the losing weight, everything, and you still have a problem, well, then in that case, it's genetics. Like I said, some folks are genetically predisposed. Genetically predisposition means you were born with it, mama had it, or dad had it, or both had it, and they passed the genes down to you. So now you got to do everything you can to counteract these problems. And sometimes you have to have medication. There's cholesterol medications out there that can help. If you have those levels that are just really, really high and dangerous, you may need to consider that. You may need to consider the medication. But of course, you consult with your doctor, and he or she will guide you on which way you should go. And some of you may have heard of these medications. They're called statins, specifically aimed for cholesterol, clearing out the blood. And I have no opinion one way or another. You have to consult with your doctor about that. I just know I do natural alternatives. I do as much as I can, but my cholesterol levels aren't at the level that's detrimental. If it was at the level that was detrimental to my health and I needed the medication, the statins, then I would have to consider that. But thank God, everything's working out with my natural supplementation and exercise and eating right. I'm doing pretty well, and the numbers are coming down. So be mindful of that, and that you stay on top of your numbers. Consult with your doctor. Get your blood work. Know your numbers. Please know your numbers, because you can't correct it if you don't know it. So there you have it. Knowing your cholesterol numbers are essential. It is so important in maintaining your heart health. If you found this information helpful, please click like, share, and give me the thumbs up, and subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, subscribe so you can get more of these healthy tips along the way. I promise to bring more information and break it down for you like I did this. And if you have any questions, please continue to put your comments below or email me. I love getting your emails. I've been getting a few of them. And I take the time to read and to answer each of your questions that you may have. And whatever I can do to help, I'm here. But like I said, I'm not a doctor. I will always, in all of my emails, I tell you guys, refer to your healthcare provider. Call your doctor, your nurse practitioner, whoever you see. Let them know what's going on, and what concerns you may have going forward. But I will gladly answer any questions you may have. Anyway, my name is Nurse Sabrina Clayton, and formerly known as Health Formation Nation. It's still there, but if you want to check out those videos, you'll see the playlist. But I thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and take care of your health. Stay on top of those numbers. Know your numbers. Take care.